What's going on, guys? What is happening? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today we are looking at Christian Braun, his strengths, his weaknesses, and his fit with the Philadelphia 76ers. To help me do that, I got my man Tiago, the man, the myth, the legend. What's going on, dude?
What's going on, Chris? We're back doing what we do best, which is breaking down prospects after another catastrophic Sixers playoff exit. So we are back.
We are back. Let's just jump right in. Christian Braun, 21 years old, guard forward, out of Kansas, 6'6", 6'6" wingspan. Tiago, what are some of the strengths of Christian Braun? You go first, man. I'll throw up some of his highlights.
Yeah, I mean, one of the comps that immediately comes to mind when I watch Christian Braun is Alex Caruso. So high energy defender. First thing that comes to mind really when you talk about him is the defense. He's an extremely talented player offensively, but I think where he's really going to stick first in the NBA is on defense. And when we talk about defense, I'm talking specifically off the ball, very smart, knows where to rotate, knows where to be, attacks passing lanes pretty actively. And he's also fifth in the Big East in blocks. So he, for a guy who doesn't really have that big of a wingspan, is not particularly, like a power forward type. He's very active coming around and creating blocks and defensive ends that way. So you see a little bit the defensive element to his game, which is very, very important for what, the Sixers want to get accomplished from their bench. When you talk about some of the guys that come out of there just who don't really add much of anything defensively. So that's number one. And I think number two is offensively, when you think about what he looks like. So right now he's mostly a stationary shooter, but he really had tremendous success, not so much this year, but last year, playing alongside a paint presence, which was I'm not even trying to pronounce the guy's name right now. It's 2 early in the morning. And point guard, Devon Dotson, we studied very well.
Yeah,
so, with that paint press the Sixers have with Embiid and Maxey, as a kind of a point guard that also attacks the paint, he's able to kind of play off that as a stationary shooter. And he attempted over 5 3-pointers a game last year, or sorry, the year before that. So you see kind of a little bit of 3-and-D element to his game. I like a lot of what he brings to the table, and I think that he's a guy who the Sixers should have an eye on for sure.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm really intrigued with his defense. 6'6". Definitely has a little, fluid lateral mobility to him, to his game for sure, as you can guys see in here in the highlights. Kind of impressed with his ability to navigate and fight over screens, stay attached through picks. That is definitely something I've noticed. And definitely has definitely high basketball IQ, strong defensive instincts that we've seen here. And then the shooting, you look at, I agree. I think Christian Braun's probably going to be more so a spot-up shooter at the next level, at least early on. 1.05 points per possession on spot-up opportunities over his 3 years at Kansas. And you put that in perspective, Moses Moody averaged 1.06 and Cam Thomas 1.0 points per possession. Not saying he's as good a shooter as those guys, but that's definitely something to keep in mind. But, yeah, I think really his bread and butter is going to be off the ball, probably cutting to the basket. You look at he seems to be a very, very, again, very high basketball IQ, very smart, very instinctive, knows when to look for gaps in the defense. He shot 82% at the rim last year, which is freaking wild. That's not going to carry over, obviously. But let's go into kind of cons. What are some of the cons of Christian Braun?
So I think you touched on quite a few, Chris. I think first and foremost is his shot profile right now. It's mostly a stationary shooter. Now, he tested extremely well at the combine. That's one of the reasons why he kind of came out on the radar. He really crushed the combine from an athleticism standpoint, even though he doesn't necessarily test it positively on the wingspan part of it. But if you think about, coming off dribble handoffs and coming off motion, I think he has the pedigree to be eventually built into the type of shooter. Like, I'm not comparing him to like a Duncan Robinson, but think of how Miami kind of utilizes Duncan Robinson from a variety of different ways. So he's got the athleticism, I think, to detach from defenders and shoot off motion, but he's going to have to develop that because his shot is he's got a very low release point, And I think that's going to be an issue in the NBA. So if he's not getting right off the bat, like wide open looks, he's going to struggle to get a shot off. So I think that's going to be something that, if he's going to find himself in the NBA, things are just move much faster. Guys are bigger, stronger, quicker. So, he's going to have to really kind of develop that part of his game. And I think if he does, then you have, I think, a legitimate 3-and-D prospect, somebody who can eventually, give some spot minutes to start, but is mostly a rotational player.
I fully agree, man. Like, that was one of my notes here. Definitely doesn't seem to be best with the ball. He doesn't have that isolation skill set that, Doc Rivers covets, especially come playoff time, which makes me want to run my head through a wall. He clearly struggles to drive past defenders, especially against good shot blockers. He's not an elite athlete as well. He's not. The lateral quickness isn't elite. The wingspan isn't elite. Can he find a way to not get beat off of 1 through 4 switches? Like, that's it. Like, will he not be picked apart, come playoff time? That is the question moving forward.
I don't think he will. I think he's got some subtle strength to his game. He's got like a subtle, to your point, he's not like this elite athlete by any stretch of the imagination, but he's got subtle athleticism. And I think he's going to handle okay against quicker guards. Like you said, he's attached through screens. That's important. So I think those things are going to play very favorable for him. He's going to end up being a plus defender in the NBA. I believe so.
Love it. Let's go into fit with the Sixers real quick, and let's grade it out of 10. I'm going to over time, I'm going to rank them and use decimals if you need to. So how would you grade and rank, and what's your kind of overall feeling with his fit with the Sixers?
So 10 being a great fit, 1 being a terrible
exactly.
fit.
Yep.
The one name that comes to mind is Danny Green. The Sixers will likely not have Danny Green on their roster next year for a variety of reasons. Obviously, danger being part of it. But if you think about what Danny Green brought to the table, right? So off-ball motion, corner threes, smart off-ball defender. Again, that is a high-level comp for Christian. He's not saying he's going to be Danny Green, but you think about it from the fit standpoint, I'm going to say like a good 8.5, to be honest with you. I think that, that from the elements of what the Sixers get out of Danny Green, if they get something similar from the bench, that would be a massive, massive win in their roster. And the Sixers need guys who come off the bench and can do more than one thing. So I think he definitely does that at a pretty good level. And he did it at a program that won the NCAA championship. I mean, the pedigree is pretty legit from that standpoint. So we'll touch on some guys who come from smaller programs. This guy did it at the absolute highest level. So there's no question about the competition with him.
And he's 21 years old. And I think, definitely could step right in and give the Sixers, something right away, like Jaden Springer. I see the same way thing. If it clicks, there's definitely a really good chance he could be kind of evolve into this two-way kind of wing guard hybrid that could be a nice complement to Embiid and Harden, just like Danny Green is. But does he have enough athleticism? If that lack of burst and shot making becomes such a weakness, what is he? So there's definitely a swing here with this guy. But at pick 23, I'm good. I'd be a little bit less than you. I'd probably be at a 7. Or 7 or so. I think that's pretty fair. But that pretty much wraps it up. Any final thoughts before, right when we close up shop, we're going to go to our next prospect. But any final thoughts on Christian Braun?
Yeah, he's a guy who I wasn't really thinking so much throughout the process, but I think the combine flipped the dynamic a little bit because he tested well in a lot of different metrics. So, he's got a good resume to his name. I think the Sixers will be making a good selection there, worried to be available. But yeah, there will be guys potentially in that range that could swing the other direction for sure.
All right. So that is our breakdown on Christian Braun, guys. If you're new to the channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Lots and lots of NBA draft and Sixers draft content on the way. For Tiago, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.